doing another video. In this video, what I want to show you is something that I thought was pretty interesting, which is how do we use ChatGPT for creating databases? And so this is something that I thought was going to be tedious to do. Creating tables in a database is one of those um, tedious things. I really don't like doing it, to be honest. I know exactly what I need to do, but the typing and forgetting which syntax and doing that sort of thing is not something that I love doing. So I said, why not use ChatGPT? And so that's what I'm going to do in this video, show you what I did, the prompts I gave it, and then talk about something that I found interesting at the end. So let's dive right in. Um, so I asked, and this was today, I asked ChatGPT, can you help me create statements? And of course, it was willing and happy to do it. And so I started with, information about what I wanted. And I was very, very specific here. I said I need a table. I told it the table name. I gave it the primary um, key, right? And I provided the details. I mentioned if it was a text field or a character field or if it was a numeric field, and that sort of thing, and whether it was a date. That's what I did. And it came back immediately and gave me this result. And so I took that result, fantastic. And I said, okay, well, I might as well go ahead and do it for the next table. Again, provided the same information, provided it the exact same names that I wanted the columns to be, and then allowed it to be specify its own data types, which was actually a challenge, and we'll talk about that later. So I continued to do that for 3 tables. And so each time it gave me some code, and I did the same thing for a customer table. And this customer table, I did an auto increment primary key, okay, and then I did the same thing for reservation table, and then reservation has a foreign key, which is trip ID and foreign key for customer number. And so at this point, I've created all the tables that I care about, and so this reservation has a foreign key to our trip, and our trip is up here. It also has a foreign key to our customer, and then our trip has a trip ID, and then our trip guide has a trip ID. So that's how I would join all of the information together. So before we even start joining the information, one task that I don't like doing, especially with this as you're learning, is inserting data into the database. And I thought this was really useful by ChatGPT. I asked it to give me an insert into statement. So using the information that it had provided above, knowing that it had provided certain dates and certain details, it went ahead and created insert into statements for me. These insert into statements actually get the data into our database tables, right? And so that was fantastic. One of the things that you'll notice here is that I prompted ChatGPT to create the trip price using a double field. And double is more of a programming word, and I just couldn't get the right word out. And so when I ran this in my Postgres, Postgres doesn't use double. It uses decimal. So that failed there. And so that's one thing that failed. The other thing that failed specifically for this was that Postgres doesn't use auto increment, doesn't have this feature. And so there was no way for ChatGPT to know this. I'm assuming if I had provided some prompts about what database I was going to use, maybe it would have helped in that way. But still, so far so good. I didn't have to type most of this into my database, and I was able to get all of this running and working. And all of this worked. And then I asked ChatGPT this question: give me a query to join. I meant to join all the tables and give me one big wide table. That means all the tables join using the left join. And so it started this whole process where it goes and it and it does a join from guide and join reservation. And I tried this. I just blindly copy and pasted, and this failed. I was like, that's interesting. So I said, the, and the reason it failed is because reservation or ChatGPT tried to join with guide using guide num. Now, if I go above, if I go to reservation above here, there is no guide num. So somehow ChatGPT got really confused and it tried to join something that didn't exist. It's also doing inner joins. I wanted a left join. Usually, when you do a wide table, you would do it left join. So I didn't like that. And I said, hey, by the way, um, can you do a select star instead of calling out each column? Because I don't want this all of this. It's useful for some reasons, but I didn't want that. I wanted it cleaner, and I just wanted to select everything. And by the way, um, uh, should start reservation as the first table, and the reservation does not have guide num. Apologies for the oversight. Here's the corrected query using outer joins. So it does a select from reservation as R, right? So we're naming it left join guide on R guide num. Wait a minute. Isn't that the same thing that I told it not to do? Um, so I ask it, why do you think reservation has a guide num? You are correct. I apologize for the oversight. The reservation table does not have a guide num. Thank you for pointing that out. So it goes and says from reservation as R, left join trip as R trip ID, left join, and then left join guide as G on T.guide name. So does T have a guide name? Trip does trip have a guide name? Let's see. Trip the table trip. Where is trip? Trip. That's reservation. That's customer. That's trip. Trip ID, trip name, trip location, state. No guide name. So um, to get to guide names, you actually have to join with trip guide, which was specified here, and you would join with the trip ID. Again, it failed in the same similar way. Now, so this is something to look out for. Obviously, if I didn't know anything about databases, I'd be flummoxed and upset. And so I don't think ChatGPT is ready to take over the world just yet, since we can't get this correct. But it was able to get me started very quickly with this information, and it can help you get started. It can read this code, and this is a good way of leveraging ChatGPT in a useful way to learn, to introspect, um, and allow you to understand a little bit better about SQL and the things that it can do. So good luck, have fun, and keep on learning. All right, till next time.